There is a section on the computer keyboard known as the special purpose keys. Now, in this group of keys, there is a certain key known as the control key. And in computing, the control key is a modifier key that plays a significant role when it comes to computing. And this particular key is integrated with other keys to perform special functions and operations. Now, I have this Excel workbook open, and I want to show you how you can use this control key to perform certain activities whenever you get access to Microsoft Excel. I have other videos that talks about keyboard shortcuts, and I'll be dropping that in the description below. You can check it out after watching this particular video. Now, in this Excel workbook, I have this particular cell selected, which is A1. If I hold the control key and the end key, this jumps me to the last column that consists of my data. So when you move to this section, we have this particular cell selected, which is O18. That is column O and row 18. Therefore, if I scroll up, you can see that I have some data in this particular column. So anytime you are in the first cell of your database, when you want to move to the last column that consists of your data in your database, then you can use Control plus End on the keyboard. Now, since this particular cell is selected, which is under column O, if I scroll to the left side using the horizontal scroll bar, you can see that I have some data which is also located in row 18, and this is the last data that we have in column D and also row 18. That is why this particular cell is selected. That is row 18 and column O. Now, when I want to move to the beginning of this database, I can use Control and the Home key, and this jumps me to the first cell in my database, and that is A1. Let's assume you want to select a particular cell and enter a data or perform any editing option. You can use your mouse to click to select, click to select, click to select. What are other alternatives that you have on the keyboard which can allow you to select a cell in your workbook? You can use your up arrow key, and that is going to move the cell up, down arrow key, right and left. This allows you to select a cell, and if you want to perform some formatting or some editing to your selected cell, you can do so with your computer keyboard. In this case, I have this cell selected. If I want to select the entire column to perform an action, I can use the Control key and the space bar on the keyboard. So you can see that this particular column is selected. Therefore, if I want to delete or if I want to hide this column, I can easily do that in my current workbook. If I want to select a row, I can use the arrow key to select the row that I want to select. Therefore, I have selected row 3. Therefore, if I hold the Shift key and the space bar, this is going to select the entire row, that is the row 3. And if I have any formatting or any editing or any other operation I want to perform to this particular row, I can easily do so. Now, when I select this first cell in my database, which is A1, and I hold Control, Shift and the End key, this is going to select any column or row that consists of my data. So you can see that I have row 18, and that is the last row in this selection, and also column O, which is the last column in my database, and this has selected the entire data within my range. That is the A1 to O18. That is the range that I have that consists of my data. Therefore, when I held the Control, the Shift key and the End key, this has selected the entire range that consists of my data. Now, let's assume that I have this cell selected, and I hold Control, Shift and the Home key. This is going to select from that specific cell to the beginning of your data. So this keyboard shortcut allows you to select from a specific cell to another cell depending on the kind of shortcut that you want to use. If I select this and I use Control, Shift and the End key, This is going to select the data from that selection, that is this particular cell, to the end of this particular database. So you can see that this is the shortcut that is used to select from a beginning to the end of a database, or from the end to the beginning of the database, which is Control plus Shift and the home key, and also Control plus Shift and the end key. Now I want to jump to the beginning of this database, which I have this cell selected. As usual, you can use Control and the home key. I have this cell selected. If I want to hide this particular column whilst this cell is selected, I can hold Control and the number 0 on the keyboard. So you can see that currently column A has been hidden, and therefore we don't have it visible. So this is used to hide columns in your workbook. If you want to unhide this particular column, you use the Control, Shift and the number 0 on the keyboard, and this is going to unhide your column. The same applies to a row. If I select this cell, which is located in row 4, and I use Control and the number 9, this is going to hide the row 4 from this particular list. Therefore, when you check, we have row 1, 2, 3, and we have row 5. It means that row 4 is between row 3 and row 5. And if you want to unhide a particular hidden row, you use the Control, Shift and the number 9 on the keyboard. Perfectly. So we are exploring some perfect operations using this modifier key, that is the Control key. Now when I select this particular cell, which is B4, that consists of this 40, and I hold Control, Shift and the plus symbol, this action is called Shift Cell. Therefore we have this insert dialog box, and we have 4 options here: Shift cells right, Shift cells down, entire row, and we have entire column. So if I want to shift the entire column, I'll click and then choose OK, and you can see that I have moved this particular data from column B to column C. I am going to undo this by using Control plus Z on the keyboard. Now if I use the keyboard shortcut once again, Control, Shift and the plus symbol, and I choose the first option, this is going to move the cell or the data that was contained by this cell to the right. So that is going to also move the next cell that is beside this data to the right of another column. So you can see that this 40 has moved from here to here, and whatever data was contained by this cell has also moved to this particular cell. So this is the power of this keyboard shortcut. I am going to undo. This time around, I'm going to select the entire column, Control space, and when I use Control, Shift and the plus symbol, this quickly creates a column before that selected column. So you can see that I have moved the entire data from column B to column C. I am going to undo. We can also apply to a certain row in our worksheet. If I select this, which is in row 5, and I hold Shift key and the space bar, which is going to select the entire row, Control, Shift and the plus symbol, this is going to create an empty row above that selected row. So anytime you want to create a column or a row before a certain data, then this key shortcut is going to be of help to you, and you have to utilize it as a Microsoft Excel user. Now in this case, let's assume that I am done with the creation of my database in this particular workbook or this particular worksheet. When I hold Control and the F2 on the keyboard, this is going to open up the print settings interface, and I can go through my copies, my printer and other settings applied to this data, and I can have a print out of this database. So Control F2 opens up the print settings interface in Microsoft Excel. To get off this particular page, you can press the escape key on the keyboard. Now I have this database here. When I select this data, which is 50, and I want to convert this to a currency symbol without moving to the home tab and in the number group, then you can use Ctrl Shift and the number 4 on the keyboard, and you can see that I have converted this to currency. Therefore, when you select the home tab and get to the number group, you can see that this is selected as currency. If I select this and get to the number group, I have this as general, but this is formatted as a currency number format. Control Shift and the number 4 helps you to do this particular option. Now if I select this and then I hold Control Shift and the number 5 on the keyboard, this is going to apply a percentage symbol to your selected data. So you can see that I have this percentage symbol applied to it, and if I want to have this as a perfect percentage, I have other calculations I can apply to it. I have a video that shows you how to apply percentage to your data in different ways, and I'm going to drop that video in this particular description of this current video. Check it out after watching this video. Another way to format your data using the number format, if I select this and I hold Control Shift and the number 3 on the keyboard, this is going to format your data as a date format. Therefore, you can see that I have this custom applied to this, and this is a date format applied to the data. If I undo this action, you can see that I have this as 10, and when I use Ctrl+Y to redo, I have this formatted as date. So we have converted this data to a date format. As usual, when I hold Ctrl+P on the keyboard, this also gets you to the print settings interface in Microsoft Excel. You can also use Control and the arrow keys to navigate through your data. If I select this cell, which is located under column A and row 5, and I use Control and the right arrow key, this will move to the last data under the last column in this database. And when I use Control and the right arrow key again, this is going to move to a different set of database, and that is the beginning cell in that particular row. So you can see that this 10 was selected. This jumped from this particular cell to this because we have no data in this individual cells. Therefore, this is going to jump from here to the next cell that consists of a data in that particular row. So Control right, move to the last data in that particular database. Control right, we have another database. This is the first cell in that particular row. Control, this move to the end of that particular database. So you can see how this is a complete data which is separated from this particular data. Therefore, this was selected, and when I use the Control and the right arrow key, it jumps from this to the last cell in that last column. So normally this helps you to jump from the first cell in the first column of your database and also the last cell in the last column of your database, depending on the row that you are located. So when I use Control and the right arrow key once again, this jump to another different database, and when I use it once again, this will move me to the last column in my worksheet. Now when I use Control and the left arrow key, this is also going to follow the same trend, but this time around I am moving backwards, and these keys helps you to navigate through your Excel worksheet. Thank you for watching this video. If it is helpful, please drop your comment and also like, share, and consider to subscribe if you are new to this community, and you are warmly welcome.